Panier afgegee.
Ja, ek moet so kyk of ek dit in die gang kan kry.
Van die skyfies oor gesit. Van
Johan gaan
dit doen.
ja, hy gaan vir die Kersmense en dan hierdie ene gaan ons sommer hierso doen
Vat.
by YouTube. Ja. Ek gaan net kyk of hy gaan werk.
Dan genoeg mense kan doen.
Okay, so jy kan maar net praat met hierdie skyfie op
Ja.
die missionair sal dan ek sal ek net vir jou wat praat. So jy kan maar net so by my praat. En ek dink die kamera is omtrent reg so. Dis net.
Oor Ronnie. So kan hierdie ander deel op die YouTube.
Yes. Was essentially dis kan jy op YouTube gaan? Yes, hallo. Okay, so jy kan nog nie hoor of die klank goed is of iets nie, nee. Okay. Okay, alright. Nee, is reg. Ons sal 'n 2 minute se ons gaan incheck. Okay, goed. Okay, ja. Okay, so my wife will check in 3 minutes time and it goes on.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for coming and joining us this evening. Unfortunately, as usual, Eskom has not cooperated and we have load shedding commencing at 8 o'clock. However, we do have an inverter that will power the presentation and we have got extra lights here, so please don't run away because I had my doubts that we will be finished by 8 p.m. Firstly, has everyone completed the attendance register? Thank you. Are there any apologies? Ronnie Quillen. Yeah. I would now ask if we can have a confirmation of the minutes of the last annual general meeting that was held on 17th of November 2022. These minutes were all circulated. We have a proposer and a seconder. Thank you. I'd now to present the chairperson and director's report for this last financial year. And would like to welcome all the members of our association, plus other residents of the suburb, and I trust that those that are not yet members will very shortly be members. And also to our LS3 representative and the various security companies that deal with us. It's my privilege as the chairperson of the association to table this report tonight on behalf of the directors as well as the management committee members. And as stated, it is the 17th annual general meeting. The association has in fact been operating longer than that, but prior to that we were not formally registered as a company. And we would like to remind you that we're a non-profit company incorporated in terms of the Companies Act 2008, with its main objective being the protection of the safety of the general public in the Monument Park West suburb. The association is now also registered as a public benefit organisation and provides Section 18A tax benefits for those contributing towards the association. And I think there are very few enclosed communities that have in fact registered themselves as public benefit organisations, so that this is something that is an advantage for all our members in terms of taxation. The association also satisfies the solvency and liquidity test prescribed in the Companies Act of 2008. It is also required of the board and its management to always pursue this task with integrity and to the best of their ability. No management member has received or declared any favours, gifts or privileges from any company or party we have been associated with. Separate accounts are prepared for the enclosure project, an investment bank account held to manage the expenditures associated therewith. The financials of the project will, however, still be reflected in our financial statements and also will be included in the auditor's reports for perusal by residents. The balances of these accounts will be shown in the discussion on the enclosure project. Although it was not possible for all directors, management committee members and street representatives to attend every meeting, the following important matters were dealt with during the financial year. Firstly, on the financial side, our financial status is healthy. Income and expenditure accounts were submitted to the auditors, tax returns were submitted, and we have a healthy amount in our savings account. Although I might add that that is starting to dwindle with all the infrastructure that we are putting into the suburb. Our bank accounts at ABSA have been closed. We were running accounts at both ABSA and FNB. We've now consolidated all of those at FNB. The full financial statements will be presented as part of the agenda. Council matters. Shane Maas is our ward councillor and assists where possible. We monitor and are updated on any developments in the area, such as the Castlegate developments, Soltech, and we provide input and objections where necessary. We also sorry about that. We're live streaming this for those residents that are not able to attend. An electric fence was erected on the open section along the R21, which resulted in a small group of squatters that had moved in there to move out of the area. The fence gate is open at daytime and the fence is monitored by Brunel Security. Unfortunately, we've just had the third vehicle in the year go through our fence, so we're having to spend a fair bit of money repairing the fence each time because it is not always possible to recover from the parties responsible. Smart cameras were erected along the Velpa and Kroonkloof Nature Reserve boundaries, and activity is monitored by Forum Security with reaction by Brunel Security. Whilst there were some technical glitches to start with, these have proved quite successful, and we've been able to pick up potential intruders before they've actually gained access to the suburb. Way leave approval was obtained at the end of July, thanks to the effort of Johan Collins for the civil works required for the boom gates and guard houses. You will have noticed that currently construction is well underway. Here I come to a rather negative part of my report. At the time of preparing this report, less than 20% of residents were contributing towards the operational phase of the project, which means that the enclosure is not sustainable yet. We are seeing a slow increase in participation levels. Other enclosed suburbs that the committee visited have more than 80% of the residents contributing. It is essential that more residents contribute to make the enclosure more effective and affordable. Brennan contract. Following a tender process, Brennan Security was appointed in December last year to provide guarding and reaction services required for the Booming Hawk project. The agreement incorporates very favourable costs for reaction services to members of the association that contribute to the operational phase. Brennan also undertook a hot dog drive to promote membership in September. Upkeep of the suburb. Continued improvement has been made in the neatness and appearance of the suburb and its parks. Trees and bush have also been cleared along the Air Force Reserve in Felpo Street to improve visibility for the cameras and security. The park equipment has been repaired and repainted. Overgrown plots have also been cleared, which has improved safety and reduced the growing risk of squatters settling. Joint Operational Control Centre and CPF, we must express our appreciation for the continued support received from the JOC. The JOC acts as the coordinating body for combating crime in our sector. They also activate and coordinate the emergency services, voluntary CPF patrol services and SAPS. Residents are requested to support them and to report incidents for statistical reasons. We continue to make a monthly contribution to the CPF of R1,000 towards their operating costs. CPF members voluntarily do patrols and assist in instances where crime incidents occur, but more volunteers are needed. Morné Versfeld is the representative for our area. I must be thanked for the large amount of personal time he spends on security-related matters, right down to reporting faulty streetlights. I have family members in Pier van Ryneveld. If I rated 50% of their streetlights operational, that would possibly be on the high side. Have a look here and you will see what a great job he's done on that. Saltec student accommodation. The construction of the student accommodation is well underway and we've dealt with complaints related to excessive dust. Our website has been completely redeveloped with a new domain called monumentparkestate.co.za and can be used. The contact numbers of the Monument Park Estate can be perused from the website. Acknowledgements. Allow me to once again express my sincere appreciation and gratitude to firstly the Monument Park West Dutch Reformed Church for the use of their church facilities over many years to hold both our monthly meetings and to present our annual general meetings. Our directors and management committee members for their valuable time and inputs at our monthly meetings. All the security firms, JOC, CPF and SAPS, for safeguarding the residents of our suburb by means of their regular street patrols and visibility. Lastly, but certainly not least, Henry Norn has decided to step down as a director and committee member of the association. I would like to extend a special word of thanks to Henry, who has dedicated many years to assisting both the association and the community. Henry, can I ask you to come up so that I may shake your hand? And those that do not know you can see boots. Thank you very much, Henry. I would urge all of you to support the cause and the activities of the Monument Park Residents Association and Committee, who unselfishly serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being again here at another AGM. It's been quite a busy year for us, and it's one where we can actually start to see all the hard work coming to fruition. 5 years ago we started, and it was then just a vision, and we tried to sell a vision to a community. And now it's becoming a reality. So the infrastructure is going up, we're closing up the suburb, we've done a lot of work already, the entrances will be closed December. So thank you to you all for your support throughout the years, and for reaching into your pockets and taking that step in faith to actually put money behind something that's a risk. But that's what they say, faith equals risk. So thank you again. We have used your money wisely, and you can see we are not a one-person show. We are quite a lot of people behind the Residents Association, all people living in this area, and trying to make this work for all of us. So I'll be taking you just through the presentation on the financial statements, and then also on the upkeep of the suburb. And then I'll also just be speaking to the enclosure project. And what do we foresee for our suburb after we closed? What are some of the other stuff we can do? Right, I just wonder if you can just give me a moment. YouTube threw out my presentation here, so I just want to get it up again. There we go. Right. So if you're looking at the annual financial statement, John, I trust you're following along there. All right. Okay. So if you're looking at the statement of financial performance, now for the increase this a little bit. Okay. So I'm just going to highlight a few things. You can, I've got a copy of the audited financial statements here. You're welcome to have a look at it in more detail afterwards. So our financial statements are audited. I can also tell you that we got an unqualified audit opinion on it. So at least we're trying to keep things above board. In terms of our revenue, that increased by 750,000 from the previous financial year. Now, the income statement is probably not the best representation of what's happening in terms of contributions, but I'll speak to it anyway. The reason why our revenue increased so much is due to the fact that we moved away from a membership contribution model to a Section 18A donation model. In terms of Section 18A, you cannot attach any conditions to a Section 18A donation. You pay the money over and we recognize the revenue immediately. The only thing that we must do with that money is to utilize it for the intended purpose for what it was given. And that is for the protection of the safety of the general public in Monument Park West. So that is what we must use the Section 18A donations for. Now, that Section 18A donations also then allows you to deduct it from tax. So that is why we moved away from a membership contribution model towards a Section 18A donation model to allow you to get the tax benefit from it. Okay. In terms of our so sorry, I've explained now why the 750,000 increase. In the membership contribution model that we follow, there were conditions attached to those contributions. I don't know if you remember when we had our first meeting 5 years ago, we said that your phase 1 contribution will only be used once we've got 70% consent, and it will only be used for the application. And then phase 2, we said we'll only use it once we have sufficient funds to roll out the infrastructure. And if not, we'll pay that back to you. So those conditions first had to be met before we could recognize that revenue. Until those conditions are met, it will be recognized as what they call deferred revenue, and that will be a liability in your balance sheet, not in your income statement or statement of financial performance. Okay, so if we're looking at our operational expenses, so our expenses towards the protection of the safety of the general public, that's probably our biggest expense ticket that we incurred this year, followed slightly behind with the cost we incurred for the upkeep of the suburb. During the 2023 financial year, we spent 232,000 towards protection of the safety of the general public, and then we spent also 232,000, just a few hundred rands less, towards the upkeep of the suburb, and then administration expenses and so on, much less. So maybe just to highlight, in the past our focus was on funding the ADT security vehicle. We've moved away from ADT and funding that specifically during the last financial year, and our focus was mainly on the enclosure of the project, and the work we've done there was mainly towards increasing our revenue streams, appointing contractors, obtaining Chinese approvals, and so on. So we've done quite extensive work last year around tenders. I don't know if you remember, we ran those tenders. We had to develop the RFPs. We had to evaluate the different tender responses. We had to do due diligence on them. We went to the sites. We had meetings with them. So it was quite an involved process to make sure we get the right guys, basically, for the tenders. We also visited, other areas where some of these guys have worked to make sure that they can do what they say. All right, so I think hopefully that started to pay off for us. Then we also did extensive focus on upkeep of the suburb. You would have noticed along Veldpo fence area, before we started, the grass along Veldpo was quite long. It even grew right into the street. And many attempts of the municipality to just cut it for us just didn't yield any results. So eventually we decided to start to just cut the grass ourselves. And from there we moved towards actually clearing the fence on both sides. This side as well as that side, cutting down the trees, clearing up the perimeter area so that the cameras can look both ways. We also cleared along Groenkloof Nature Reserve's perimeter area, and along the R21. We started to cut those blocks shorter and started to clear. So there's been a lot of upkeep work. In the park, I can't tell you how many trees we trimmed in the park. Just a backlog in terms of general maintenance of our parks. It's amazing how many years it's just been left. So we've done a lot of work in that. All right, so if we look at the balance sheet or the statement of financial position, you will see that property, plant and equipment increased by 560,000, and that mainly relates to the 259,000 we spent on the security fence next to the R21, the one we're going to fix in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that the motor vehicle damaged. Then we spent 291,000 on CCTV cameras and on Veldpo and the Groenkloof Nature Reserve. Up to financial year end, we spent a lot more after year end. And then 21,000 relates to upkeep equipment, buying a chainsaw, buying a brush cutter, things like that. Okay. If we look at our cash and cash equivalents, that increased by 1.828 million from the previous financial year, bringing us to 4.153 million at the end of 28 February 2023. In the meantime, we've spent quite a lot of that money already, and we're going to spend still a lot of that towards the infrastructure at our entrances, as well as the cameras that we deployed along the 2 perimeter areas. You will see that this increase in the cash and cash equivalents will reflect in what I explained previously as deferred revenue right here at the bottom under current liabilities. All right, so I think that brings us to the next agenda item, which is the appointment of the auditor. And the recommendation is for AMAX, our current auditors, to be reappointed as auditor. Are there any objections to it? Okay, so we can then accept AMAX as being reappointed as our auditor. Then, Peter, I'm giving this over to you.
The next item is the election or re-election of directors. As advised earlier, Henry Norn has decided to step down as a director. So far, we have one volunteer/nominee to replace Henry, and that is Corne Krieger. Are there any other nominations? Can we have a proposer and a seconder for Corne? Corne, can you come up and say hello to everyone? Corne has been involved with the committee for not too many years, but he certainly provided a valuable contribution already, and I'm sure will prove to be a very efficient director. Thank you, Corne. The re-election of committee members. That is our current committee, and the one person that is stepping down is Henry Norn. Do we have any other people present here tonight who would like to serve on the committee? It's not too onerous a job, and it's useful to have people with different skills. We fortunately got a reasonable spread at present, but we can always use more people. Anyone else prepared to put their hand up? Right, for there being, does anyone have any objection to the people that are on the committee being re-elected for another year? No objections. Right, we'll take that as a unanimous re-election. Thank you. I'll now hand back to Björn, who will take you through the rest of the presentation.
Okay, I'm going to just quickly touch on the upkeep of the suburb. So, as I've mentioned, maybe just for interest's sake, what do we do? So, especially during summertime, we regularly mow the 2 parks' lawns and cut the grass along the perimeter. In fact, we start here with our park here on the top, and we mow, then we go to the park there next to R21, then we cut the grass on next to Velpa, the R21's perimeters in Groencliffe, and then we start again, because the grass would have grown already. So that's our that keeps us busy the whole summer, just keeping the grass short, mowing the lawn and so on. During winter time, we then focus on other stuff, typically trimming of the trees, cleaning up some more areas. Also, what we do on a weekly basis every Monday is to pick up litter. So if plastic and bottles and stuff are thrown, in the suburb, every Monday the rule is The worker grabs a plastic bag and just picks up litter. Cleans the dustbins in our parks, dustbins, puts it here at Veldpark for the municipality to collect. They were quite slow, so we were almost at the point of getting somebody else to collect those bags, but I saw it was clear. So that is what we do to keep up, for the upkeep of our suburb. If we don't, I can promise you, our grass will grow this long. The municipality doesn't cut grass; they just don't do it anymore. Okay. So this map that you see here up on the presentation, that's a map of our suburb. Now I've sort of highlighted there in red. Those are the areas we are upkeeping and keeping the grass short and cleaning, basically, as a daily thing every week. All right, so you can see it's quite an extensive area. And if you wonder what that 60 Rand per month is doing, that is exactly what it's doing. It's keeping our suburb tidy, clean, keeping the grass short. What we also did this last year is to also paint, and I think Peter mentioned it, paint and fix our parks jungle gym. So what you see here are two photos of our jungle gyms that we painted nice and colorful. And that one with the hat was actually all broken and dilapidated. We actually had to fix it nicely, put in new planks, put it together, and now it's there for the next generation to enjoy. So that's what we did this last year. And this jungle gym you see at the bottom, that's a new jungle gym in the park. And I want to especially say thank you to Johan and Chappelle Vale. They donated that jungle gym. Their kids didn't play on it anymore. They seem to have outgrown it a little bit. And it was standing in their backyard. They said, you know what, we would like to donate it. All you need to do is to come and dig it out and build it up again in the park. And we took up the challenge and we did that. So if you've got a jungle gym in your backyard that your kids have outgrown, that you would like to donate, let me know. We can make a plan, we can go and dig it out and put it up in the park. All right. We probably will only do it in the winter months because for now we need to focus on keeping the grass short. Okay. All right. So that's just a call from my side if you would like to take up that, be part of it. Okay, and then what we would like to also kick off sometime next year after we've closed up our suburb nicely is to adopt our park. The municipality has an initiative which they call Adopt the Spot. So we would like to formally adopt our park, although we're informally doing it already. And the idea is then to create nice play areas as well as picnic spots and easy to maintain garden areas so that our park becomes something the community can start to enjoy more. I think we are quite blessed in the suburb to have such a big park and such a big area, and it's something we must try to make our own and use more. I've gone a lot to that park in Groenkloof, and I've seen there's a lot of picnics that's being done there. And I think we probably don't have such nice plants as they do and water streams, but we can also create something more or less similar for us to enjoy our park. All right. Then, Mornay, I'm going to hand this over to you, the GPF crime statistics.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, can you hear me? All right. This one is what we're going to show here is basically the crime stats from November last year to October this year. As you can see there, we've got a massive spike during May, which mostly is property-related crimes. We'll go through that in the next slide. And then you will see around about November, December, there was also a spike, and around about July and October. You can see the total crimes that was recorded by the community at the JOC was 231 in total. Property-related crimes, 121 of those. Those are mostly your trespasses, break-ins, basically anything property-related, theft of motor vehicle, any of those theft from a motor vehicle. That is all grouped. So just to explain to you, we've got 6 categories, and they're listed on the side there. The blue curve that you see is the property-related crimes, and you can see that there's a spike that happened during May in the winter time, and then of late now in October, November this year, where it picked up again. The orange curve that you see there is contact-related crimes. Now, contact-related crimes has to do with fire, alcohol-related incidents, accidents, vehicle accidents, drug-related crimes, damage to property, and vandalism. So these are basically your holiday-type crimes. So these folks mostly concentrate on breaking into your property during winter time, and now we see another spike that hasn't come up last year. Here's just a nomenclature of the type of properties that or crimes that we actually have. It's aggravated robbery, which we didn't have a lot of. That's hijacking, robbery, business robberies. That's physically pointing of a firearm towards a person and robbing the person, or with a knife or something personal. Smash and grab, robbery, residential, aggravated robberies. The contact-related crimes, which we say is mostly the holiday-type crimes, so the fire, alcohol-related accidents of vehicles, drug-related, damage to property, and vandalism. The other crimes that are not so serious and other serious crimes have not actually featured a lot in this community, and it's actually the property crimes and the contact crimes that are contact-related crimes that are mostly the ones that we are concerned about. I just want to extend a thank you from the CPF and the JOC to everybody in the community that do report crimes. It's very important for everyone just to report those crimes so everybody's aware of it and to get the necessary help when needed. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Morné. So, as you can see, that obviously property crimes and contact crimes, those are our main focus areas in terms of crime incidents that happens in this suburb. So, those are typically the things that we are hoping to address with the enclosure. As we secure our perimeters, as we secure our entrances, we are hoping that burglaries, attempted burglaries, and so on to our properties will decline. Okay, so then just to look at the enclosure project. Now, the good news is we've secured 2 perimeter areas with cameras. So as you can see, Groenkloof Nature Reserve perimeter and the Veldpo Street perimeter has been secured with cameras, and that's monitored 24/7. In fact, we had 1 incident so far where the guys were trying to attempt to come in from the veld, and they were picked up, and Brilliant Response was deployed, and that was averted. So it's nice to know it's working. There was a possible incident in Groenkloof as well, but it seemed to have been animals, not persons. But it's at least picking up the animals as well. All right. Then what we've also secured was the R21, that open veld area with the electrical fence. Unfortunately, we had a vehicle that, I don't know how it happens, but literally drove and hit that pedestrian gate. So now we got quotes already and appointed, so the first deposit was paid, so they will be start to fix that fence and gate again, so that we can just secure that area again. So yes, a part of the R21 perimeter is also secured with the electrical fence, and that's also monitored. If there's a breach, immediately Brunel picks it up and they deploy their armed response vehicle to go and check what's going on there. So it's attached to an alarm system that gives the notification through to the control room. That orange part there, that's sector 3. So that's where the new Saltec student residence is being built. And we've already had engagements with Canton, the guys that's the property company for the Saltec group. They will be securing that new perimeter area that's formed there along the residence. Also with cameras, and that will also be monitored by firm security, and also work closely with our armed response to deploy reaction as needed. So we're grateful that Canton is taking part of that part of the perimeter fence area, so we don't have to also find the money for that at least, so that also helps us a great deal. So then we've got 1, 2, 3 perimeter areas that sort of covered here at the back end area of our suburb, and a small portion there next to R21. Okay, so what's our current focus? Obviously the entrances. So our main focus at the moment is getting the entrances closed and making sure we can sustain the operations around that. Now, currently, we only have enough operational funds coming in to deploy guards for night shift. We don't have enough funds coming in for day shift guards as well. So that means the booms will stand open during the day. We still have a risk during daytime, at least we'll avert it during nighttime. And that is where my call comes from, is to say, we've had 50% contributing towards the infrastructure phase, and we're calling on those again to say, please support us so that we can get it operational. We need more revenue to come in to deploy guards during the daytime as well. Just in terms of what the work still entails, most of the civil works have been completed. They're just doing some final snags on that, and then there are some inspections lying ahead on that, and so on. The guardhouses is the next big thing. That's being built off-site. It's container conversions, and I have an inspection happening this Friday. So then we hope that will go fine, and then if it's fine, it will be placed next week, Monday or Tuesday, the 2 guardhouses at the entrances. The boom gates, we have appointed the contractor, paid the deposit for that. They will also start to install those boom gates, but they are partly dependent upon the guardhouses because they will need to get electricity from the guardhouses for those boom gates to operate. Fences, lockable, double seam gates, pedestrian gates, all that will also start to be going up from next week or the week thereafter at the entrances. And then the cameras, we are still negotiating on the quotes around that. So the cameras might not be going up this December, it will possibly only be installed in January next year. But at least the gates and the booms will be up to start off with. Okay, and then we will also start to inform you, probably from the beginning of next year, around registering your vehicles and your faces and so on, if you want to. We're not going to force anybody. If you want to, on the database, as well as maybe your workers and their ID numbers and so on, and that's just for us to monitor who comes in and out of the suburb. What is our next priorities after closure of the entrances? Our next big priority is that open veld area that has the Selina Street on the one side and the Solomon Mhlanga on the other side, there across Saltec. That is a big risk for us, and it's also has a squatting risk. So we would like to secure that area as soon as possible, and looking at installing an electrical fence and a camera that just monitors movement in that open veld area, so that we can not have anybody really move or live in that open piece of land. And then following that is Sector 12, which is the R21, all the houses along the R21 to install cameras along that perimeter as well, so that we can pick up any intrusion coming in from the R21 and deploy armed response specifically to that specific intrusion areas. Okay. Now, in order for us to become sustainable, we need basically 261,000 Rand per month, give or take. The guards at the entrances, that cost 74,000 per month. The bring out armed response vehicles, 65,000 per month. Insurance and public liability, 77,000 per month. CCTV data links, 5,000 per month. CCTV monitoring, 22,000 per month. Maintenance of our infrastructure, 10,000 per month. Administration, estate management and accounting, 30,000 per month. Upkeep of our suburb, 21,000 per month. And then 23,000 that we want to put aside for infrastructure reserve to deploy the additional infrastructure that we would like to deploy along the R21. So that, that's what we really need if we want to get our operations sustainable in the long run. We also will need the infrastructure reserve because in 7 years' time, we're going to have to replace UPS batteries and so on that we've used for the solar installation of our cameras. So we will need to start to build that reserve as well. Okay. So we require 261,000. We're currently getting 122,500 in per month. The good news is, since I've had the street meetings about three months ago, we've seen an uptake. It has grown by 27,500, our income this last 3 months. So that's a good sign. But we're not there yet. So what we really need is that additional 138,500 per month. So currently we have deployed guards at our entrances for night shift only. So this means that the booms will still stand open during the day until we have sufficient sign-up. So that is where my WhatsApp call this afternoon also came from. To say, look, I need an additional 70 contracts, then I can deploy guards during daytime as well. Until then, we will leave it open during daytime. Right, so if you just look at our operational phase versus our infrastructure phase. As I said, during the infrastructure phase, we had 419 units that contributed. That's 50% of our suburb. We're currently at 17% for operational phase. So my appeal is again to the community. We are doing our part. We're putting up the infrastructure. We've not wasted your money. But we now need to get it sustainable. And we also try to be innovative in order to save you money, and that's why we've gone the Section 18A donation route, so that you can get money back from tax at the end of the day for your contributions. Right, so if you look at it, if you go for Section 18A donation, and which is 830 Rand per month, and you pay the membership fee, the 60 rand a month for the upkeep of the suburb, and you pay for your Greenhound special package for your own personal properties alarm monitoring of 100 rand. That will cost you 990 rand per month, but you will save the following. Most people, I think, is on about a 36% tax scale in our community. So you'll save 260 rand per month in terms of tax. You will save in terms of your alarm monitoring and armed response package. I know those packages differ from 400 to 50, and I know some people that have paid up to 900 rand per month just on their alarm monitoring and armed response packages. So you will save anything with the 100 rand, you save anything between 400 rand to 800 rand per month, just on that deal. So that already will almost cover your cost in your contribution. And then I also encourage you to talk to your insurance company, see if they can work some special deal out. I know some have been successful, others have not. It depends on security, insurance company per company. If your current insurance company doesn't give you a good deal, try another insurance company. See if you can get a better deal from them. So that's my encouragement. So yes, your total savings, I'm estimating, will be around 810 rand per month. If you compare that to your 990 rand per month, it means this thing will cost you an additional 230 rand per month, which I know times are tough, but 230 rand per month, I think, can still be reached, hopefully. Right, for the complex units, it's cheaper. It's only 250 rand per month, and the 60 rand membership fee if you want to also contribute to the upkeep of the suburb. And you can also, if you want to, sign up to Greenhound Armed Response for your own complex units, but usually the complexes have their own security arrangement with the company. And also you also qualify for that tax saving, and you might also save on your current security package. So your net cost will also be 230 rand per month if you give or take for complex units. Right, so just a quick overview of our priorities. Our priority number one is to become sustainable and maintain our current operations. That is the first thing we want to achieve as a residents association. Then we would like to deploy day shift guards to our interests. That's our next big thing. That is our next big call for members to sign up. And then priority number three is securing the empty stand, then the Selina Solomon Schlange, to also deal with that squatting risk. And then priority number four is the R21 perimeter area. And then priority number five is to adopt our park. Those are our 5 priorities as Residents Association for the next year. Thank you very much. Any questions or answers? Okay, so the question has been, once we fix the fence and the gate, that pedestrian gate is open during the day, and how do we secure that? So remember, this is not a sign-in scheme like a private estate. We cannot prevent access to Monument Park Estate. The plan with that pedestrian gate was to install facial recognition in that gate area. That's why there were 2 gates. The one is to open it, you come in, the camera looks at you, identifies your face, and then the other gate opens. Okay. We didn't install it at the time because we are dependent upon. Okay. So we were dependent upon the camera network first being established along the R21, that perimeter area, because it works on fiber. So you need to get your cameras up there, and then from there be able to use the facial recognition camera installed on the fence. Another alternative is to work on cell phone network uh, connection for your facial recognition cameras, but we've not done that yet because that technology is a bit expensive. So for now, we said we're just going to keep the gate open during the daytime area, and at nighttime we close it up. So it's not accessible during the nighttime. So I just want to ask the other gentleman that had his hand up first, and then can I have a follow-up? Okay.
Okay, so I have a few comments to that, okay? Firstly, I think I want to just compliment your whole committee. I think you guys are doing a sterling job. It's not an easy job, especially with a revenue of 70%. I think that's a worrying factor for me. I'd like to know, just before I get there, I think there might be an area in about 2 slides back, the total cost per freestanding unit gets to 990 minus 810. Should be 700. That's not a transmission. What I'd like to know how us sitting around here can get involved in trying to get the revenue numbers up. I mean, what plan have we got? We've got like home visits that we've got. I know you had the street function. I know that what's approved. I'm just wondering if there's not some other way that we can try to target numbers, because that's going to ease this whole picture.
Yes, thank you very much for that. What I would welcome is if you're willing to volunteer to go for house visits. We did the WhatsApps direct communication, we did the email direct communication. The main reason why we did it like that is because it's easy. To reach 830, 841 units through personal visit, it's going to take you 3 years, 4 years to just do that. So if it's possible to, volunteer yourself, say, look, I'm willing to tackle a street, and just meet up with those street, talk to your neighbors, talk to the people in the street, asking to consider, signing up and joining, that would be great. And also maybe get their feedback. If they're saying, I can't, the price is too high for me, I can't afford that, ask them how much. And send me through the how much part. Okay. That's also important for us, because if we get feedback from the community, say, look, we cannot afford 990 or 830 per month, but we can afford 650, and we on our side say, look, let's see what we possibly can do, run the numbers. If there's a higher contribution level on that, what will it come out to? Then we can work something out on our side. I think the point I'm trying to make is that we need to get feedback from the community. What can they do? When will they start to participate? When are they willing to buy in? Okay, that's basically what I'm also interested in. Because at the end of the day, what will make the scheme more sustainable is higher participation levels. If we reach up to 60 or 70% participation levels, we know this thing is set for the future. Where we are at the moment, we're a little bit afraid of it. Where it is at the moment.
I think you said earlier on about the contributions and then possibly about people taking a risk. I just want to say that I do think there is many investments in better and your core safety. And that brings me on to bit of a story because it's quite difficult to.
Hello? Here we go. So, one way to get people to understand the value of something is via storytelling. So, I'm about to tell a story. My mom was coming back from work, and I usually take walks, no particular reason, just walking around. And she was being tailgated, and she's telling me, come in, come in. And I don't know why she's telling me to come in the park. Like, I'm going home. Like, usually walk, it's not that far. I don't need to live. And it was when I got home that I realized she'd been tailgated all the way from work. And I sat there asking myself, that could have been really, really bad, really dangerous. And so, as someone who lives in the community, I've lived here for 10 years, there's nobody that needs to tell me why I need to be in this meeting. It is my duty, it's my job, it's my responsibility. And I'm not speaking about money, because I'm unemployed, I don't have money, but the security of every single person in this community is kind of also my job. And it brings me to the question we asked now about how do we actually get people to contribute and take part. I think the thing we need to do, and I'm also at a loss for how to do that, right, is to make people understand that they form part of this community just as much as everyone else who is here. And I think a lot of work definitely has gone into this stuff. I'm excited about the prospect of having something that's sustainable, because that's pretty important as well. And I guess my bottom line is no one can really make us aware of the fact that this is our community besides us. And I don't think um, someone should have to wait for something to go really bad and then to think about the fact that it's not. There are people who are paying to make sure that we are all safe. What can I do about that? I know I didn't really answer anything, but I thought it was something worth sharing. So thank you so very much for the people in the community, the people who are paying for this. I'm definitely not paying. I'm like for it. But hopefully someday when I'm able to contribute, I definitely want to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Bakre. Now we had a follow-up question here.
Do you think it was deliberate that somebody broke that fence? Because I don't know how a car can come from the R21 over that gully, that salt liquor booth, and knock all that stuff down.
I can assure you it was not deliberate. And that's the third accident. I've personally been there shortly after two of the accidents have occurred. And you say to yourself, how is this possible? Dead straight piece of road, they run off the road, the minute they go up that embankment, they roll, and that's when they go into our fence. One of them was an Uber vehicle, and we are trying to claim back from the Uber insurance. So I can promise you none of them were deliberate. And if you saw the state of some of the people after the accidents, I can assure you it was not deliberate.
Thank you, Pian. Just a big thank you again from all of us for the hard work you are doing and the excellent job you're doing. So a big thank you from all of us. I've got three questions. The first one is, in future, next year, pedestrian access for our domestic workers. How will they register? What is required? That's the one question. Second question, whilst we in the interim not having day guards, can the booms close and open by waving your hand, or will they stand open? And why can't we use them? And then the third question slash suggestion, can't we speak to Matt and Brennan that their security guards, their patrol vehicles, when they engage with residents, just casually also encourage them to join up and pay up and join, it will make it safer for them. Thank you.
Okay, I'll address the third question. That's the easy one to start off with. So yes, Matt is already on board from Greenhound side. They send us through the people, references that want to sign up with Greenhound. We got five people already referred to them, or that they referred to us today, for example. So yes, that relationship is working quite well. Then in terms of the other two questions, just refresh my mind. Yes, so it's a risk to just let it work on a sensor. Because if something goes wrong, you need somebody to lift it. And that's why we can't just let it run on the sensor during the day, because it might hold up the vehicles, and then, you know, if I now need to speak to people after they've been held up at the boom gate to join up, it's going to make my life even more difficult. Right, so that's a risk. And then the other question was the yes. So we'll give more details around that. We need to sort of thresh out that part with firm security and how that will work and all of that. I can tell you now that I'm trying to opt for an easy solution, where it's literally you take a photo of your domestic and their ID and you WhatsApp it to us. That's sort of the approach I'm looking at, to make it as easy as possible. Right, so, but we'll get to that. Remember, we're not going to prevent your domestics from entering the area. They can still come in even if you haven't registered them on the database or whatever. The only reason we're doing it is we would like to identify people not registered, if I can call it like that, so that we can start to have more focused monitoring. You know, who's coming into the suburb and things like that. Yeah, that's where we're going. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Mine is not a question or an answer, but just more a statement. I think we must be very proud of Monument Park Estate, because out of all the parks that I've seen in Victoria East area, our park is like well maintained. You know, our dogs can run free and our children can run free, so we must be very proud. And with that pride, let's take it to other people and make them proud as well, so that we can get more uptake for our contributions monthly. But well done.
Thank you. Okay, that's the load shedding. Okay.
Yeah, that is an area where I think a lot of people can come in during the day and just hide there. Because it's an open area. Okay, it is cleaned from time to time, but there's still very much areas there where they can hide. So they don't go out during the evening. They just stay there, and then they do a lot of things that they shouldn't do. We had a break-in and a whole lot of fines coming in Mandel, and I think it's because of that area next to us. Okay, and now there's another thing. Then the barrier, well, on the R21, for people, the drivers, I know I'm suggesting something now that might not be legal, or, but what about barriers? before they reach the security fence.
In terms of the barrier, unfortunately, that's something we can't get involved in, and there's specific regulations laid down by SANRAL and by the Gauteng Department of Transport in terms of where one can put up barrier rails. For example, you will see on the other side of the R21, there are barrier rails running virtually the whole length. The reason for that is that you have that canal or drainage area on the other side. So that is deemed to be a high risk, whereas our side, unfortunately, is not deemed to be a high risk. We have, however, asked SANRAL and Department of Transport in Gauteng about barrier rails, but have not had a decent response. They can't even replace the street lights that get knocked down, never mind putting up additional barrier rails. But it's not to say we won't keep on trying.
Yes, so just in, yeah.
What I know is that someone from Mauritius, the person lives in Mauritius.
Yes, so that empty property there was sold actually by the person living in Mauritius, which is good news for us. It was sold somewhere in the beginning of the year, and there's a developer that looks at developing that. I'm not sure what the developer is going to do. Might be an office building or some more residential units or whatever. But that's the good news. Now, in terms of that empty area, you know what's interesting for me is the moment that fence of ours was broken there at the R21 due to that vehicle accident, we had the incidents at Unbell complex. Yeah, so I think the moment we start to get that fence up again and fixed, that incidents will also decline. Because they just took that gap. The moment that pyramid was reached, they took the gap. So that's one thing. But I have suggested, and I think, I'm not sure if it was Unbell or the Zaan complex, but I have suggested that we try and get a camera up there that you guys power from your complex that monitors that open space area there. And we also link it to the Forum Security Network. If you are willing as a complex to pay for that cost, and I said I'll get a quote for Forum Security, and you guys look at that, we will pay for the monitoring of that on a month-to-month basis, because that basically secures that perimeter area for us even further. So I haven't gotten around yet to get the quote, but that's something that my recommendation is, because the advantage of a camera is if there's movement in an area, you pick it up and you can immediately respond to that movement. The idea is to keep people out of that space. Yes. Yes. No. Right. So yes, we need to just get that area fixed again for that unfortunate accident. The problem is they hit the pedestrian gate, so that whole thing got bent and skewed. So now that's a bigger job to actually straighten that thing again, because the gates can't even close at the moment. Yeah.
Any other questions? Right, if there's nothing further, I'd like to thank you all in one for being here and for supporting our association, and would urge you to go out and I'm talking to the converted here today. I would like you to go out and convert some of the others and encourage them to be part of the operational phase, so we can then take our enclosure up to the next level. But thank you very much for your time.